About your apartment. Your first look. Door locks. The front door of your apartment has been equipped with a good lock. We permit no replacements. If you wish to buy an additional lock, make sure that lock you buy conforms to our guidelines by checking with your housing assistant. See page 21. You will be responsible for its installation, care, and maintenance. In case of an emergency, the housing authority reserves the right to break the lock in order to gain entry. More information about your apartment is on page 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. On page 8, we talk about painting. All apartments are scheduled for painting by the authority on a regular basis. You will be given a color choice. If you wish to paint your own apartment, please obtain written consent from your management office. Wow. You need permission to paint the apartment that you paid to live in. Okay. Painting over certain surfaces with incompatible paints can cause hazardous conditions. Wouldn't it be best for a person to have already done their research or, before they attempt to do things? And what type of paint do they use that could possibly be incompatible with a paint that a person would use and cause hazardous conditions? What type of paints are they using that could cause hazardous conditions if you opted to use a different, whatever? Like, that's just questionable to me. Yeah, anyway, you can check that out on page 8. Picnic areas and barbecuing. That's on page 10. I don't know. Maybe a few people might want to check that out. Don't get caught up. Oh, here's a snippet. You must keep a copy of the request to use picnic area form available during the picnic to show to the police officer upon request. Might want to check out page 10. Rent and conditions of occupancy. How rent is determined. The rent you pay is either 30% of your income after allowable deductions, or a flat or ceiling rent, whichever is less. See exclusions below. Residents can choose to pay the flat ceiling rent even if it is higher than the income-based rent. Why would you do that? Your family's income determines your individual rent. This is why down the hall from you, perhaps a family of your size living in an apartment of your size pays a different amount of rent each month. Exclusions to the 30% rent rule are continued on page 11. Yeah, with the rent due date and the rent payment procedures. Continued on page 12. Your security deposit. When you signed your lease, you paid a security deposit unless you received public assistance, shelter allowance, in which case you provided a rent security agreement. My thing was in lieu of rent. That's what it said on the paper. The interest on your security deposit adds up over the years and is credited each year to your February rent. If you provided a rent security agreement, there is no interest to credit you. Yearly income statement. Once a year, your management office staff will provide you with an occupant's affidavit of income form, often referred to as the annual review form. This form is used to determine whether the rents and sizes of apartments are appropriate for families who live there. Wow. It includes sections on family composition and Federal Privacy Act statement, a section on disability status and reasonable accommodations, and a window guard questionnaire. Wow, so like, a woman and a male child, should they be living in a one-bedroom apartment, a 3-room apartment? Or what about a woman with two children? Should she be living in a three-room apartment? Not that she should be in a three-bedroom, but whatever. Should she be in a three-room apartment, a one-bedroom apartment? Both people I just exampled out live in a one-bedroom apartment. One is a woman with a son in a one-bedroom apartment, and the other is a woman with two daughters in a one-bedroom apartment. Wow. In addition, an employer's form must be completed and signed by the employer of each working member of your family. Does this apply if you're an employee? Shouldn't they already know that information in the database? Because, people act like they can't type things up in the computer and pull up stuff. I mean, I've worked in the office part, and, when I was doing tickets and stuff, mold and mildew and setting up appointments and things like that. So yeah, I know you can, type up on one computer in one development and pull up somebody's information on another computer and another, you could pull up somebody's information where you're at in another development. Like I live here, I work here, I'm on the computer, I'm typing up somebody's name that I know that lives in another development, and I know their address and all that, so I could just type into the computer because I have access, so I can type into the computer and pull up their information, even though I work here and I ain't got no business in that person's business over there. But yeah, let me back to the story here. What if you are self-employed? If that is the case, you must keep adequate and verifiable records of all transactions. These records are their supporting documents such as bills, bank books, and income tax returns must be available for examination by your housing manager and or NYCHA's business auditor in order to check your total annual income. So that's like basically they audit you. But my thing is, that's like if you're self-employed, is this an office or is this an apartment? Because now this is giving office vibes. And are we sleeping in our job? We sleeping at work now? We sleeping at, because that gives me sleep at work vibes. That means you live and you sleep, you live and you work in the same place. That's kind of like, it's kind of weird to me, And then when they want to be all in your business and know about your IRAs and do you have life insurance policies, it's just too much information that they're looking for that makes me uncomfortable because, you never know who you're dealing with. I shouldn't just wholeheartedly trust whatever, whoever, whenever, just because this is you. These same people can go take my information and put an insurance policy on me. I've seen it happen. So I've seen it, I've seen it and read about it. So I know that it does happen, and I actually know someone who put an insurance policy on the fucking father of that person's child. So these things can be done without consent and without your social security number for crying out loud. Like, be for real. Anyway, after a preliminary review of your occupant's affidavit of income, your housing assistant may request further documentation of your income or family composition. That's just basically what I just said, that the shit that they don't need, that's what they're asking for now. What if you never submitted this information, and they steal your mail, right? And get information that way, and then contact whoever, sends you the mail because they think you're about to try to do something. So, what if people actually did that type of shit, and then they come back acting like they know all about your financial shit and they know what you're doing, and not everybody trying to catch a thief. That's just funny. Family composition is continued on page 12. Oh, and community service, that's on page 13. You have to be exempt in order to not have to partake in community service. It's given vibes that I'm not really feeling right now. Anyway, rent and conditions of occupancy continued. Additional community service providers may also be identified through the following. I've been here since 2010 again, so I don't know if this information is still up to date and accurate. The Mayor's Office, Voluntary Action Center, located on the internet at www.nyc.gov/volunteer, or the Volunteer Match Database, located on the internet at www.volunteermatch.org, or by calling 311. Again, I've been here since 2010. I don't know if this stuff is still accurate. This is on page 14, by the way, for more info. Community service exemptions is there, and exemptions that such and so can verify with pre-existing data. That's on that page too. Page 14. Page 15 is, exemptions that can be granted only with signed documentation. That's page 15. Continued. Home instruction is exempt. If your child is homeschooling, they're exempt. Okay, basically that's what it says to me. Eviction and termination is also on page 16. The eviction process is on page 17 for failure to pay rent, right? And then the eviction process for criminal activity and other termination of tenancy cases. So, this is page 17. The eviction process described above can be applied to any criminal activity that threatens the health, safety, or right to peaceful enjoyment of the development. Any violent or drug-related criminal activity on or off nitric grounds, any criminal activity that results in felony. Let me go back real. Any criminal activity that results in a felony conviction and other termination of tenancy cases, such as for what? Come again. Let me run that back. Grounds. Any criminal activity that results in a felony conviction and other termination of tenancy cases, such as for non-desirability, that means we don't want you here. Chronic rent delinquency. If we start messing around with your paperwork, you'll be a chronic rent delinquent. You'll be a chronic person whose rent is always delinquent. Or a breach of the rules. Okay, so now I'm going to run that back because I was being a little asshole just now. Any criminal activity that results in a felony conviction and other termination of tenancy cases, such as for non-desirability, chronic rent delinquency, or a breach of the rules, except where criminal activity is involved, you will usually be given an opportunity to discuss the matter with your housing manager to see if the breach or problem can be resolved. This is where they muscle in on you. If resolution is not achieved, the case will be forwarded to their law department because they got all the lawyers. They got the juice. You got nothing. Where an administrative hearing... okay, let me if a resolution is not achieved, the case will be forwarded to their law department, where an administrative hearing before an impartial hearing officer will be scheduled. This is sounds like their judge, their lawyers, their jury. An impartial hearing officer acts as a judge, weighing the facts and deciding on the merits of the case. If the impartial hearing officer does not find in the resident's favor, the impartial hearing officer's findings and recommendation will then be forwarded to the board comprising the chairman and 2 other members. So if he says no, then they forward it to the board comprising the chairman and 2 other members, which has the power to modify the finding and recommendation of impartial hearing officer. If the recommendation, if he says no, then it goes to them and they make a final decision. Well, what's the point of even having this impartial person make a decision on it if his decision is not the final decision? The final decision is not going to be from the impartial person. It's going to be from the chairman and 2 other members. Anyway, page 18. And let me start, because this shit is... Okay. If the recommendation of the impartial hearing officer is that the tenancy be terminated and the board does not modify the recommendation or the supporting findings, the case is referred to landlord/tenant court. Come on now. And my thing is, why we ain't there yet? I should have been there. landlord-tenant court. We should have been there if I was this type of person and it was time for me to go because I'm undesirable. But we ain't get there yet. We did all the parts that I did, and they, have done nothing. They just keep sending me notices trying to, like, intimidate me. Because if we went to this court here and we did all this other stuff, I guarantee somebody would be in trouble. But we got to cover our asses by any means necessary. Right? The court will issue a warrant, and the city marshal will serve a 72-hour notice to evict. You can avoid this process by ensuring that you, the members of your household, and all household guests comply with the rules and regulations. If criminal activity involving an illegal drug trade or business is conducted in or around an apartment in a development, an eviction case will be fast-tracked by going directly to landlord-tenant court under the Bawdy House Law, BAWDY. Conditions of occupancy continued on page 18 if you want to see the rest of that stuff. Oh, and in page 19, because they got the pet policy. And page 20 if you feel like. Management and maintenance services, page 21. Housing manager. Your housing manager is responsible for the overall operation of your development. The manager is responsible for the day-to-day management of the apartments, buildings, and grounds of your housing development. If you live in a large housing development, you may also have an assistant manager. Superintendent. Your superintendent works closely with the manager. Along with his or her staff, the superintendent has specific responsibility for the physical welfare of your development. Your superintendent and staff see to it that the apartments and buildings are kept in good repair, that he is provided in the winter, and your development's public spaces are kept clean, functioning, and attractive. Are you supposed to get notifications by mail when a change of staff occurs? I'm just curious. I got one, and then I never seen another one again. Staff. The manager and superintendent direct a staff with well-defined roles to successfully manage and maintain your homes and buildings. In some management offices, you will meet the assistant manager. This person is responsible for day-to-day management duties, including the supervision of housing assistants. A housing assistant's duties include apartment rentals, inspections, interviewing, complaint resolution, rent collections, and income certification, to name a few. You will meet other staff in a typical management office: secretaries, clerical workers, and, of course, the receptionist, the very first person you meet when you call or visit. The assistant superintendent is the second in command on the maintenance end. The supervisor of caretakers directs the caretakers in their duties of keeping elevators, hallways, stair halls, and building entrances clean. Yeah. The supervisor housing groundskeeper, oversees the groundskeeper staff as they care for lawns, shrubs, trees, and so on. Yeah, I used to tend to my own grounds because, it was short staff like that in Thrive's Neck. It was kind of crazy over there. You had to, do your own stunts. Anyway, that's on page 21. On page 22, if you need repairs and you live in Queens or Staten Island, you can call the number to contact the centralized call center. That's the number we all call. If you want to be reminded of that, it's on page 22. On page 23, if you want maintenance emergencies, it's the same number, just if you want to read what's going on there. If you need to speak with someone, on page 24, the staff in your development should be able to answer all of your questions concerning your apartment and the development itself. They should always be your first stop for questions about rent, conditions of occupancy, family composition, and the like. And of course, if you need repair work done. If you're not satisfied with the housing assistant's response, he or she will help you schedule an appointment within 3 business days with first the assistant manager and then the manager. Like literally, if you're mad, if you have an issue with the like, what do you think? Oh my goodness. If you are not satisfied with the response from your manager, your next stop should be the borough management office for the borough in which your development is located. What happens when you don't get a response from there? More questions than answers around here, I tell you. Please keep in mind, if you contact the borough management office directly without going through the appropriate steps first, you will be referred back to your development. Save yourself time. Make the first stop first. That's cute. Save yourself time though. Make the first stop first. What are you supposed to do if all that still doesn't work? What happens when you contact HUD and you get no response? You know, because when you go through the proper channels and nothing happens still, then what? You know, then you hit up HUD and then it's like nothing, and then what? You know, I thought it was like duh, but you know, I guess not. Page 25, Crime and Safety. The Housing and Patrol Bureaus of the New York City Police Department. That information is on page 25. However, I will highlight PSA 1, Red Hook Satellite, PSA 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Ravenswood Satellite. Okay, yeah. That's what it, yeah. Rockaway Satellite, Staten Island Police Service areas. Just, you know, that's there. Page 25. The Anti-Narcotic Strike Force and Special Investigations Unit information's on that page too. It's on that page. Crime and Safety, continued, page 26. Speak out against fraud and corruption. If you or anyone in your family is aware of any fraud or corruption being committed against the housing authority by any employee, contractor, vendor, or resident, we urge you to call the Inspector General's office at, you know the number, or Department of Investigation, you know that number, or although, you know, these people here, they got their own little IG unit, which is a part of the city's Department of Investigations, initiates and develops, let me run that back, which is a part of the city Department of Investigation, initiates and develops its own investigations. It encourages and relies upon their employees, these people here, their employees, residents, people who do business with them, and the public at large to report fraudulent or corrupt activity. Page 26. Annual inspection / right to entry, page 27. Once a year, you will receive advance notice of a required management and maintenance staff visit to your apartment. This yearly inspection, I had like fucking 4 of them in 1 year, is required by law. What? This yearly inspection is required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Please cooperate. Make sure that you are home at the designated time or arrange for a friend, relative, or neighbor to admit staff. Now, if these are the people, why I ain't getting no response from these people here? This is the crazy part, right? You know? And then again, I had like 4 different times, 3 times, 3 actual inspections, and then they just try to come through with a 4th one, and then the 4th inspection they followed up with a second notice, you know, because like how many freaking times? And that was just December. So now if this is yearly, am I good for the next 3-4 years? Because I should be, you know. They come in here, they do the inspection, they jot down what they need to jot down, and then they never come back. What? One time a guy actually came here And he saw how my cabinets are. I like the cabinets the way they are because when the cabinets had doors, it was like this crazy stench. It was like I couldn't take it. Like I had to take the doors off. Shit was old anyway. When I leave here, they'll be putting new shit up in here. So I'm not, can't nobody run that bullshit on me, right? But I let him know. He sees it's there, and then he said, "You want ticket for new cabinets?" I said no. He said, "Oh, basically saying I'm trying to make sure I have no reason for them to come here. I'm trying to make sure I don't want them to come here." And I'm like, "No, I just don't like the cabinets." Then I explained to him why the cabinet doors didn't have no fucking doors. Like, you know what I'm saying? But guess what he did? When I went, something told me to, double check his story, right? So then when I went to the app and I logged in, I saw that, Papi, he scheduled me an appointment to get some new cabinets, even though I said no. But mind you, they came in and saw the bathroom, right? Nobody put a ticket in for that shit though, right? They come and they see the doorknobs, because when you come and you do an inspection, the first thing you inspect is the motherfucking door. Excuse my language, but I'm getting annoyed, right? So like I said before, the things they should be, they don't. They just want to use reasons to keep coming in. And when people do things like that, you have to wonder, why are we doing that? What are you doing? Because it's either you're trying to catch something or you're trying to case something. Which one is it, right? Back to page 27. Management and maintenance staff will be scheduled to meet with you at the same time if at all possible. We think that the joint apartment inspection will make it possible to pinpoint and solve problems more rapidly. This is an excellent opportunity to have all routine repairs completed, as well as discuss any concerns you may have with the housing assistant. Now, if everybody's coming here and everybody's at attention, the things that you see should just automatically, you should know, okay, I see you need a new bathroom. When's the last time you had your bathroom been addressed? When's the last time we did anything in your bath? Oh, we've never done anything in your bath. Oh, you've had this same background bathroom to your shower, and since 2010. Wow, no wonder you got mold spots now, because it's been since 2010 that you've been here. It's 2024 now, right? So this is an excellent opportunity to have all repairs completed, as well as discuss any concerns you may have with your housing assistant. Mind you, everybody's supposed to be present. The authority retains the right of entry to perform any essential work or to investigate any violation of rules. Where would they get any knowledge of that, Unless there is an emergency, such as a fire, gas, or water leak, we will normally enter your apartment with only your permission. In other words, you have the authority's assurance that its right of entry will not be used indiscriminately. Failure to provide staff with access, however, can result in legal action that can result in termination of tenancy for breach of rules and regulations. Check your lease for a complete list of these rules and regulations, or turn to page 18 and 19 of this handbook for an abbreviated version under section entitled Conditions of Occupancy. Y'all might want to run that back if you want, Moving out, page 28. Requirements, but I'm going to skip on that. Apartment inspections. Residents are entitled to an apartment inspection with management staff prior to moving out to identify any items for which they will be responsible. Like, it's better to do, because I thought about that too. I was going to record shit, because even still, I was going to record my last day type thing, because you never can tell. But when they say it's, what their word seems to be law to everybody for some reason. Their word is law. Their word is the prayer book and the Bible, the scriptures, all that. You know what I'm saying? It's everything. Page 29. Without your help, during the years we have been in operation, residents and authority staff have worked together to create communities to be proud of. Over 2,500 buildings and grounds were, by and large, people care for and respect each other's rights and properties. Really? I beg to differ. Without your help in areas, the strength of the community that exists now and so-and-so's ability to provide services is seriously threatened. And truth be told, the ability to provide services is seriously threatened, has been threatened, and somebody got it in a fucking chokehold right now, in a hostage situation. Anyway, elevators and compactors is also on page 29. You know, people, don't throw shit down that ain't supposed to go down the hopper. Please. It just messes up the compactor, and then they shut it down, and then you gotta take the garbage outside, and then you got a whole bunch of garbage in front of the building, and you know how the rats do out here, because apparently nobody cares about the city, especially the Bronx. That's why we got the most rats, you know. It's funny. People used to have, BioWash smells like bubblegum, you know, when I started working, and I used to smell it here too when I got here, and then I started working, and you know, they had the BioWash, and I'm like, God, you know, dude, like, what's up with this? Like, how is it that you got us cleaning the building, right, to get rid of the vermin, but then the soap smells like bubblegum, like straight up fucking bubblegum, like the shit had my stomach growling, craving bubblegum, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's, to me, it's like, that's kind of weird, you know. You got something, you're trying to get rid of the fucking roaches, but here you are using soap that's bringing shit right to it, you know. And then when I was dealing with that dude, well, it was my ex-fiance, right, I had to escape from. He used citrus. Everything he used in his house was citrus. He always talk about citrus. Oh, he never used that BioWash. Oh, that's crazy. You crazy to use that. And yeah, I got what he was saying, because it looked, that shit looked like a straight setup to me. That looks strategic, because why would you clean something with something that smells sweet, something that smells like the stuff, it smells like it's attracting what you're trying to push away, you know? But, you know, Simple Green happened, and, you know, that was the best move. But anyway, yeah, page 29, page 30, without your help, continued recycling, smoking. Remember, smoking is not permitted in the lobby, the elevator, or any public space in the building. Residents who smoke in their apartments should make sure that cigarettes and matches are completely extinguished before they are thrown into the trash container or compactor chute. Now, to highlight this, they have since amended some shit to whereas you're not allowed to smoke in your apartment at all. So what's really good with that? You know what I'm saying? Now you getting on some other shit. But anyway, I digress. Utility costs, gas and electric, that's, you know, page 31. Page 32 continued, and page 33 without your help. Fire safety starts on page 34. Might want to check that out. 34 and 35. Potential hazards, mold and mildew, lead-based paint, that's 36, 37. And continued on 38 and 39 with asbestos. Cleaning tips is on page 40. What a coincidence. Apartment floors, walls, kitchen tips, new appliances, refrigerators, you know. 40 and 41 page 41 and page 41. Page 40 and page 41, I'm sorry. Cleaning tips continued on page 42. Sink cover and countertop, bathrooms, resident association, that's page 43, titled Getting Involved. So we got resident associations, resident association committees, the Citywide Council of Presidents. The Citywide Council of Presidents, CCOP, is the citywide organization representing resident leaders. Every president of a housing authority recognized resident association is a member of one of the 9 districts. Each district has a chair, and that chair represents the district on the CCOP. Yeah, the rest of that information is on page 43. Getting involved is continued on page 44. The Resident Advisory Board, RAB, tenant patrols, you know. and some other stuff. 44 and 45, community facilities on page 45, excuse me. You can check that out if you want, community facilities. You know something, the crazy part is, when I was doing the first round of, Social Security thing, right? The judge at the time, his secretary, whoever she was, right? She sent me an email asking me if I had ever been to any facility. And I took offense to it because the first thing that popped up in my head was, oh, this person trying to play me, facility. You know what I'm saying? We know what the facilities and the clinics be about, right? So I said no, but now I'm looking here and I'm like, whoa, stop. Community facilities. Maybe that's why he asked me that. Sometimes people will ask you certain questions, because the vibe appears to be a certain way. And then you say, yeah, and then they run with it and try to turn, community facilities into drug facility type of thing. Because he asked me, have I been a part of any facilities? Did I attend any facilities, right? Oh my goodness. Oh, and another thing that's crazy, the name of this development is also a drug rehab, I think, that has the same name, just the last name part. I just thought that was a coincidence. Just like this name is trending for some reason. It's crazy. Like the universe is speaking, I hope people is picking up what it's putting down. Resident programs on page 46. Recreation and sports, the visual and performing arts, educational programs, and nutritious meals. Page 46 and 7, y'all. Health services. Senior health, that's page 48. Senior programs is on page 49. Social services, page 50. Outreach and support. They have supportive and outreach services, SOS, program that provides crisis intervention, counseling, advocacy, and referrals for residents in need of assistance in accomplishing the activities of daily living. What happens when they start trying to push this on somebody that don't really need someone? I don't even really want to go into detail because I used to be a home attendant, personal care aide, but everybody who's disabled don't need this particular type of service, And when you're trying to push this particular type of service onto a person, it looks weird, It really looks weird. They have transitional service and domestic violence under that as well. Resident employment at your own risk. At your own risk. Employment and training, that's on page 51. At your own risk, please be advised, be forewarned. Ain't no friends in housing. Page 52, equal opportunity, all day. Persons with disabilities is on that page. Keeping in touch, they have a journal. I don't know if they're still doing the journal online or not. Management newsletters. I don't really see too much of those unless that's the little things posted downstairs. But a management newsletter should come to the resident's mailbox, I mean, this place is giving shelter vibes. It's almost like you have people in here that work and pay their own rent, but it's still shelter vibes because God forbid they lose their jobs. Now you got people trying to take over their lives and run them, and because now, you don't have a job, so that means you're incompetent. So you don't have a job and you can't work, that means you have to have mental problems so we can, therefore, make decisions for you and be like power of attorney or some shit. That's the vibes it's giving me because, to just take it upon yourself to be filling out documents for people, how dare you? Who you think you are? And then you want to use the rouge of, oh, we're doing it for the seniors. Yeah, you'll start out doing it for the seniors, and then you start trying to just do it for everybody else on their behalf without their consent, I think anybody who allows that is a fool. Straight up. I'm sorry. And if you allow your elderly relative to let somebody else do that for them, you a clown. Straight up. You don't even deserve to have that person in your family if you're not going to take it upon yourself. Mothers and sons, mothers and their children, fathers and their children. Make sure your parents are good, okay? Because these people rob them straight up. People, you just never know. You can't put too much trust in people these days. And we have so many So many examples to look at. So it's not even like I'm over here trying to accuse people of shit. We just have so many examples that we can refer to on our own from different timelines. You know, I'm 45 years old. A lot of shit been going on since before I was even born. You know, and all it does is continue. Why? Because all they do is recruit new people to continue the cycle. You know, and these dummies, they hop right on the shit. You know, everybody trying to look for a come up. Nobody really wants to, you know, work around roaches. People don't want to live around roaches. Don't nobody want to work around rats. People don't want to live around rats. It's very simple, you know, and if you have people working in these conditions, they're going to shit on the people that live in those conditions. It's, you know, it's science. Anyway, page 53, keeping in touch. And that's the end of our notes. You know? A handbook for residents and a home to be proud of. That's what I'm going to title this little presentation. Why do I keep doing that? Oh my goodness. All right, whatever. It's time to be done.